This is episode 157, The Art of an Experience. Welcome to Alive by Design. My name is Blake Mallon, and we're here to bring you inspiring people, principles, and practices to help you wake up, move toward your meant to, and feel fully alive. Open your mind and let's dive in. Hey guys, before you listen to the podcast, I just want to drop in and say I appreciate you for being here, and I'm super excited about this new Walk With Me series. These are solo episodes where I take some time in the middle of my morning run through the Santa Monica Mountains to share some inspired ideas and thoughts on my mind and heart. If you want to join me for any of these conversations live, you can catch me many mornings on my Facebook page, facebook.com/BlakeMallon.page. Would love to see you there. Love you guys. Enjoy the episode. Walk with me. So for so many reasons, I really believe that community is today's currency. And when I say community, really at the core of any real community is real, genuine relationships. And I think in order to build real, genuine relationships, not superficial acquaintances, but real relationships, the number one thing is shared experience. Shared experience cultivates bonds, threads us together in relationship, and that is the very DNA of community today. And to go one step deeper, when it comes to shared experience, yes, that can happen by chance or fortune or circumstance, but I think there's also an art to creating experience. There are 5 that I can think of, what I'll call pillars, that in my experience create experience that lead to relationships and community that's in so need today. So today I want to talk about what I mean by all of that and get into the 4 pillars of creating an experience, the art of an experience, to raise an awareness for ourselves and for those that we really want to build those relationships and community with. But I think today's conversation, no matter who you are, where you are, what you do, the path you're on right now is hyper relevant, especially for this season we're all in. And what's inspiring today's conversation, I literally just got back from out in the Bahamas, was at the incredible Atlantis resort. For those of you that have been there, you know. For those of you that haven't, add it to the list. Truly an iconic destination in the world. You'd recognize the photos and the videos, the legendary water slide, drop, leap of faith, going through the shark tank. So cool. But was out there with a few hundred members of my community, and from probably about 12 different, a dozen or so different countries. And we just had the most epic time. I mean, people are leaving back home with hearts totally full. Morning. And that's what's causing me to reflect a little bit on this conversation, because I do believe it was just a unique experience for everybody that was there. Matter of fact, I don't think someone could have been there with us and not created some moments that they're going to remember forever. And while sometimes that can just happen, I do believe there's an art to that. There's a series of things that can come together intentionally to create that or amplify that. And I think it's so important. So I want to deconstruct and a little bit of reflection, not just this past weekend, but just my experience of creating experiences and observations over the years. So let me back up real quick. When I say community is today's currency, what I mean by that, we think, currency, something that has value today. In the traditional sense, we usually talk about currency in monetary form, right? But I'm talking about currency when it comes to community, something that's not as tangible. You can't pull community out of your wallet. You can't swipe a card of community. There's not a community Venmo. So it's not as tangible, but nonetheless, it's just as valuable. So when I say community is today's currency, I think coming out of the season we've all been in through such a period of time where our own connection, our own community was restricted. But even since we've kind of gotten back to quote unquote normal, we're in an interesting state where it feels like we're taking a minute to reconnect. And I don't know exactly why that is or what that is, but you tell me. It's taking a minute all around the world for people to get back and go reconnect in person with one another. You think about how often you're together with other people today, and maybe you try to relate that to where you were 3 years ago or 4 years ago. I think for most people across the world, it's taking us a minute to get back to the level of frequency and level of proximity that maybe was once a norm. And a lot of that might be just a new efficiency, right? Technology has enabled us to communicate so effectively, conversations like this, right? The platforms with video, like we can really connect from our phone or from our laptop or iPad anywhere in the world. So that efficiency is reducing the need of proximity for peer communication or transfer of information, right? We can efficiently do that so many different ways. I think it's more than that though, right? I think that maybe we've kind of adapted to a new norm and a new standard, and maybe we've just forgotten, right, that we need to get together. Maybe it's taken a little more effort or inertia, right? A little more personal motivation to get out, to go out, to reconnect, because we've been given an excuse that we haven't had to. So for whatever it is, there's less of it happening today. I feel, you guys tell me if that's true in your community where you're at. So this community as a currency of today is in more need than ever before. In other words, the value of it is higher than ever before. The true need for us to reconnect, I'm talking power of proximity, I'm talking in-person energy, I'm talking togetherness, right? Energetically, all of that stuff, I think it is the currency of today. It's kind of the unknown need. It's something that I think we all don't realize how much we're missing until you get it, until your cup gets full and you feel different. And maybe we're not connecting the dots that it's actually this community that is that currency. And when I say that the core of community is relationship, that's kind of an obvious, right, understanding. So community, what's a community? A group of individuals, generally of like minds, right? People that come together because of a certain vision or a certain purpose or a certain value system or a certain desired mutual outcome, right? Things bring us together. But what holds a community together is relationship, right? Relationship would be the roots. If the community of people were all the plants and the trees, right, all around, the relationship would be the roots that you don't see underneath the ground that are holding everything together, that are threading with one another. That root system, right, is what holds our foundation and what weaves us together. The relationship is that core. And I'm talking real relationship, not like superficial hi, hello, not like how you doing, not like the casual talk we have with people when we're just on autopilot of conversation. I'm talking like real relationship, like real knowing, real understanding, real caring, real communicating. And the last thing I said shared relationship, in my opinion, is what fosters real relationship. when it comes down to the experiences we all have together. You guys can test my theory on this. I'm willing to bet if you think about the people you're closest to right now, and they can be friends, they can be family, I'm willing to bet that you have had a collection of shared experiences with those people. Matter of fact, the more shared experiences you have had, the stronger that relationship. You see, it's not about time. There are people that we've known for longer, but we have less connection with. And there's people that we've known for a shorter amount of time, we have more connection with. But it's about the shared experience within the time that we've had that creates those bonds. That's why people that have gone through extreme experiences generally create a bond in a relationship that lasts a lifetime. And usually these shared experiences maybe are outside our control or outside our intention. They're things maybe that we're put into because of circumstance. And because we're in that proximity going through the same thing, whether it be an extreme high or an extreme low or a challenge or an overcoming or a victory or a win, right? The multitude of what can create an experience, us being in that together creates a bond. Usually it's by a coincidence or by a happenstance, but you can take that same pattern and you can apply that with intention and create shared experience. And creating shared experience builds those real relationships, fosters a real community. And so I really believe that the story of our life, right? If our book is or our life is a book, right? And the story of our life, at the end of the day, it's just made up of pages of experiences we choose to create. It's the pages of experiences that make up our story. You know, the difference between a minute that goes by and a moment is the minute is gone and the moment is remembered forever. And at the end of the day, we don't remember most of the moments, right? Most of the life that we have are the minutes that are forgotten, but the moments are what we take with us, right? The moments are what we look back, right? The collection of the moments at the end of the day is what matters most. So if this is the conversation that we're having, then the question becomes, well, how can we be more intentional about creating a shared experience? In my experience, observing experiences, both of myself and people that I'm around and communities that I'm a part of and communities that, you know, I observe and help create, there's at least 5 things. I'm not going to say this is an exhaustive list. I'm sure there's more, but there's at least 5 common patterns that I've seen that are at the core of experience. I think the first thing that has to happen in order to create an experience is a presence. I know that sounds obvious, but it's probably the least common thing today, is a real presence in the moment that you're in. You know, so many of us we're in a place physically, but we're not in that place mentally, right? Emotionally, especially today, right? With us attached to our digital devices and rings, dings, messages, notifications, DMs, right? From anybody, anywhere that can instantly hijack, right? Our frame of mind, instantly, right? Time warp us into whatever scenario person is on the other end of that text, right? Or that video or that post. Like how often we are in a place physically, but mentally somewhere else is so crazy if you really think about how much of a day we're not really where we are. Constantly being pulled in other directions, hijacked. So I think the first thing that has to exist to really create a moment, to have an experience, is you have to be where you are. You have to have a full presence where you are. And when I say a presence, it's using as many of our senses, right? Engaging as many of our senses in that moment as possible. And the more senses that we engage, the more present that we are, right? Not just physically where we are, but what we're really looking at and observing, all right, what we're hearing, maybe what we're smelling or even tasting, what we're touching. The more senses that are engaged in a moment, the higher the presence that is there. Matter of fact, it's actually a hack. If you want to ground yourself in where you're at, you just go through the checklist of, okay, I'm sitting here right now. What am I seeing around me? What am I hearing around me? What am I feeling around me? What am I smelling around me? What am I tasting around me? It's actually been proven that the more senses you engage in a moment, the higher the likelihood of that moment being remembered. And vice versa, a lot of times why we don't just remember what we're doing is because we're not engaging our senses. We're not really where we are. So I think the first obvious is you actually have to be where you are to experience where you are, which I know is kind of said often, but maybe experienced seldomly this day and age. One of the other common ones that I've seen over time, and this just hit me kind of early in life, is creating first times, right? Something new, something novel, something you've never done or experienced just that way before. And it can be something totally dramatically different, or it can be a slight subtle adjustment, but something that creates a new. It's my personal philosophy, the reason time speeds up. You know what I mean by time speeds up? I know you're saying, Blake, time doesn't speed up, but you all know what I mean. Time speeds up. It seems like the older we get, the faster things go. It's like we go on hyperdrive. My personal theory on that is we stop creating first. I love looking through life through the lenses of my kids as time is flying for them, now 7 and 4 years old, Grayson and Sadie. But I still get to see and experience them seeing and experiencing things for the first time. And it brings a new life, right? It brings an energy, right? It brings a feeling when you're experiencing first. And I guess it is a first for me because it's my first time experiencing that through the lens of my kids for the first time, right? So new and novelty creating firsts, I think, is about the experience. And I think so often in life, we just have less and less firsts, which is why time starts to speed up. We get stuck in routine, monotony, mundane, rat wheel, right? The hedonic treadmill over and over and over again. It's been said the average person has 60,000 thoughts a day. 90% of them are the same as yesterday. Hello? That one will hit you tomorrow. So being intentional about creating firsts, doing things you haven't done, I think is a key part of an experience. If I were to go to number 3, beyond creating firsts, I think anything that pushes you outside your comfort zone, nudges you, challenges you, stretches you. This is where that thread of adventure comes in, that feeling of excitement comes in. Sometimes that subtle rush of maybe a little adrenaline comes in. All those things that come in when you get at an adventure. What's an adventure? Doing something that nudges you outside your day-to-day. Right? That feeling is how you feel alive, right? When was the last time you felt fully alive? When was the last time your heart was pumping? When was the last time you were fully engaged? When was the last time the hair on your arms and your back and your neck was standing up? When was the last time you felt fully alive? I'm willing to bet you're having an adventure in that moment in some way. So that's why it's important to get outside those day-to-day fears, right? Learn to say yes more than no. Right? Learn to give it a try instead of staying back and being shy. Don't put yourself, at huge risk. I'm not saying do something stupid or dumb. Be calculated, be safe, but push yourself, challenge yourself. I see so many people say no to things because they're afraid of situations that there's really nothing to be afraid of. There's no real fear or threat or risk there, and yet they let that fear say no to things that have they done. Would be a moment, would be a page in the story, would be something they remember, would have changed today and made it different than yesterday. But instead they say no and watch other people do things that they know they're capable of doing. So I think adventure is an art to an experience. If I were to go to number 4, and this is just a common thread and even some of the things I'm talking about, I think it's about anchoring a feeling, right? So an experience has an amplified feeling. In other words, the higher the emotion that we have in that situation, the higher the likelihood of that minute becoming a moment. The higher the likelihood of that becoming an experience, the higher likelihood of us taking that, right? And instead of going into the plethora of things we never remember, actually absorbing that and burning that into the imprint of our mind. right? Our mental photo album of life, right? That Viewmaster that is our life, right? Those slides, those images are the things that we have, real, amplified emotion. And that emotion can be any level, and it doesn't have to be positive. It can be something that's traumatic, struggle, challenge, right? Those anchor and imprint in memories. But obviously, with all of that, we want to collect joy. We want to have our joy moments. We want to have our moments of feeling alive. We want to have our happy moments. We want to have our excitement moments, our enthusiastic moments, right? High energy, high frequency feelings in those moments. But the higher the emotion, the higher the likelihood of that minute being a moment. And that's why those firsts, right, engage our senses. Those adventures engage our senses. Right? And things that move us, make us feel, are things that we remember. So number 4, I would say, is it elicits an emotion. The higher the emotion, the higher the impact of that moment. And I said I would give you 5, so here's one more. You see, the art of an experience is not just about where you are. It's not even just about what you're doing. The art of experience is about where you are and what you're doing and who you are with. And it's interesting because you can be in the most epic place in the world, doing the most epic thing in the world, like live list, bucket list, check it off. You are there. And if you're with people that don't light you up, or people that drain you, or even no one at all, you can have a miserable time. Vice versa, you could be nowhere doing nothing with people that are your people, with people that fuel you, with people that give energy, with people that are full of life, right? With people that radiate, right? That frequency. You could be nowhere doing nothing, having the time of your life. I think the best, though, is to be somewhere doing something with amazing people. So to me, the true art of the experience is about where you are and what you're doing and who you're with, and getting that combination, right, in as many different ways as you can in the time that we have on this planet. And that's why it's so important to select your circle, to surround yourself with people that do fuel you up, that are high energy, high frequency, right? High vibing people that are here to live while they're alive, right? People that challenge you to seek that adventure, to create that first, to have that experience, to build real relationship. And the cool thing is we get to choose our circle. We get to choose our circle every single day. Don't get stuck in the given circle, the circle that you feel you've been given, right? Be intentional about the circle. We all should have a chosen circle. That's the circle we choose to be around. And choose people that love being alive and make you feel alive because of how they choose to live their life. So to me, those are pillars of an experience. Again, probably not an exhaustive list. This isn't from a book or a podcast. This is just from me observing and living and the things that burn, right, those moments in my mind. But you tell me if that is true for you. Because at the end of the day, I do think it's about the moments. View from the top. Speaking of moments, I like having these moments every day with all of you guys. And here's to checking off as many of those pillars and collecting as many moments, creating as many experiences as we can in our life to create those real relationships, to build those real communities. Community is the unknown need. It's the currency of today. And communities are not just something that'll make life more fun and worth living. Communities have the power to create change. And I think if there's one thing that the season we're going into, the world needs right now, is we need transformation, we need innovation, we need evolution. And it's going to be communities coming together, creating an energy to do all of that. And at the core of all of it is today's conversation. No matter what direction we're going, no matter what we're doing, right? The experiences that bond us together give us the power in the journey we're on. So until next time we talk together, hope you have some amazing moments this week. Take care.
Hey guys, one last thing. I'm super excited that this new podcast, Alive by Design, just went live. You see, I designed the show to bring you inspired thoughts and fascinating conversations with the world's most impactful people to provide transformative principles and practices to help you wake up, move toward your meant to, and feel fully alive. And I'd love for you to help me spread the word now. Simply subscribe, rate, and review the podcast on this platform right now. So if I've ever given you value, please do me this personal favor and go subscribe now. And if you found today's episode helpful in any way, make sure you share this with at least one friend today. You have the power right now to change someone's day. So send them a text message with a link to alivebydesign.com, or simply copy and paste the link right from this podcast platform. Who's one person you know right now that you want to see succeed, that you want to see grow, that you want to see feel more alive? Shoot them a text with your largest takeaway from today and be a light in their day. And if you were referred here by a friend, make sure you shoot them a text back and say thank you. I'd love to hear from you directly on what you got from today's podcast. So if you're up for it, drop by my Instagram @BlakeMallon and shoot me a DM. And as always, thank you for showing up. I'm grateful for you, and I hope our time together today in some small way helped you feel a little more alive. Until next time.